I was like,
Welcome to the Queer Network. Can you imagine if my voice was like this? Welcome to the Queer Network. I don't think I would take myself seriously, but some people talk like this. Anyways, hi, my name is Justin.
my name is Eddie.
My goal is to always make Eddie smile in the intro. That's literally the only goal.
And you do, because I never know what you're gonna say or what you're gonna come up with. Last week's
Oh,
last week's was great with
yeah,
your da 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 whatever.
yeah.
So
Well, Eddie, what's this episode about?
so we talk about again some big things, some big universal things. We talk about dreaming,
Hmm.
about
How to get to your dreams. Like
how to get
what
to dream, to not be afraid to dream and to dream big and to
surrender to
surrender.
the present moment, to surrender to the things that you want, like having that actual having that relationship with your inner self to know what your dreams are.
It's surrender to the journey, surrender to the
Yep.
experiences that you're going to have along the way.
Yep.
But just believe in yourself, and
Yep.
believe that what you want is possible.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
okay, enjoy.
Enjoy. We'll see you on the other side. You know, you can only dream as big as you know. And maybe you see like on television, or I mean, you may even like have some of those dreams, but they don't feel real at all. But when I got to New York for the first time was when I was like, oh, I could do some of these things in a big way if I wanted to. And I think that now that I've come back and what it took to get here and what I've gone through to stay and just all the things that have happened, I'm just like, I'm essentially living the dream that I set out then. Now, I have more dreams, but most of those new dreams are sparked from this place that I got here. And I'm just like really enjoying that I got here, enjoying the ease of living in this dream for a little while and seeing what it sparks for like next dreams, for the next journey.
You said that you can only dream what you know. So, do you really believe that? Like, I think that if you only if you only dream what you know, then so many people would be stuck where they are. I'm thinking of all the people who are less fortunate than
Mm-hmm.
we are. That, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example, like somebody who is in a lives somewhere where they don't get to be open and free, and who want
Mm-hmm.
to get out of that situation. Like, I mean, if you just if you think, to me, saying you can only dream what you know, I mean, I don't think that applies these days because of I mean, it was that way when we were growing up, but because of the internet
Yeah. Yeah.
and because of what
That's
people
true.
are exposed to,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, even people who have nothing, have a cell phone,
Yeah, exactly.
and have access to anything.
Yeah.
And so when you see that, and when you see these people living the life that you would like to lead, now, I'm not saying it's easy,
No.
but I think you can, there's a saying, if you dream it, or if you think it, it can happen. You know, I would like to encourage people to just keep dreaming, and
Hmm.
you know keep thinking big.
I think you're right. I actually don't think you can only dream as big as you can think. I think at that time, oh, is it maybe that you don't necessarily fully believe that it's possible? But maybe that's dreams that you always think dreams are a little bit like lofty. You're like, well, that would be great.
See, again, I think anything is possible if you believe it.
I do too, but do you think that in moments of dreaming things, there are times when you don't actually fully believe that you're going to get to that moment?
Well, of course. I mean, that's like every day.
So then to live it now for me is the like, I'm here.
But how did you make that happen?
It took a decade.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. I mean, again, this goes back to, I mean, you know, trusting in the universe or the, you know, whatever you believe.
Mm-hmm.
That first of all, that you are where you are supposed to be,
Fully.
and you're learning the lessons that you're supposed to learn. I don't want people to say, yeah, well, easy for you guys. No,
I agree.
I mean,
I think though, to that point, like it's worth always disclaiming like everybody's experience is different and it is a lot based on environment and circumstance, what you're essentially born into a lot of the time.
right.
But I will say that I want people to know that when you get to a moment where you're like, oh, I got to this place, like enjoy it for a bit, like revel in it, like soak it up. Like you don't always have to be on to the next right away. It's like my old way of thinking was that I needed to go, 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 go. Like if I don't take advantage of every opportunity, then it's going to miss you. No, we've talked about this on this podcast before. What's meant for you will not pass you by. And I also think enjoying what you've created for yourself is just as important as the creation process. It just breeds more joy into your life.
I had, I'm not sure I told you, but I sort of compiled a, you know, all the notes that I've taken over the years from all these gurus,
Right.
all these self-help stuff, and I sort of I made like, you know, it's like maybe 8-9 pages of it,
Yeah.
and it's just stuff that um, you know, either some of it or all of it, I look at every day, just sort of kind of my how I want to strive to live and to think and to believe, and so it's quite something. I can send it to you if you
Yeah,
want.
please do.
So I'm going to read you something.
Okay.
Because it's basically, it's when you said creative process. So when I was looking at my stuff and I thought, what are we going to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
So what was really coming to me was the topic of surrender. So here's something I'll read you. So surrender to the creative process. All you need to do is start driving in a certain direction and you will be surprised at the side roads, the views, the hitchhikers that you pick up and see along the way that you weren't anticipating when you set your mind on a destination. That is why travel is so interesting. With travel, all you have to do is set the plans. I want to go to this city, this country, this place, and that's all you know. But the amount of experiences and surprises and things you will encounter once you have set your heart on that destination will be far more rich than your first understanding of why you wanted to go to that destination. So you can substitute the word travel and say life.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of is where you asked me, like, how did I get here? I mean, that is that explanation of like, when you set your mind to something, all the things that you're going to see, the hitchhikers you're going to pick up, the people you run into along the way towards something is going to color getting to that end dream or goal or destination. And how I got here, I would never have believed all the ways it was going to happen, or all the people that helped me along the way, or, you know, held my hand through something, or how brave I had to be in order to keep moving forward despite not knowing how I'm going to get through this hoop, it was trusting the creative process, or trusting the dream, which is not always easy.
Right. And my question is, how do you start? Where do you start? You know, someone who what do we say to someone who feels stuck because, you know, they don't have the means to create their dream? Or, you know, what do we say to those people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you start? Like, what do you, is it just simply trusting you are where you're supposed to be? But that's tough if people are in a bad place.
Yeah. I think one of the first steps needs to be accepting your starting point, which
Mm-hmm.
is wherever you currently are. You have to accept that it's real. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm starting from. And then from there, take steps toward even just knowing what you want. Like knowing yourself enough, or having a conversation, getting to know what are the things that I love, what are the things that make me happy. These things sound so simple, but I think that the people think everyone knows what they want, but I think we're a lot more convinced by society, by standards, by everything around us what we should want. So how do you separate those two things? Like, how do you for yourself know this is what I want, not what my parents want or my friends want or my partner wants? Like, what is it that I want? And even just that is a starting point to me, because are people actually reaching towards their own dreams, or are they reaching towards things that they've been told will make them respected or loved? And maybe some of those things are their actual dreams, but that's pretty important to me, I think. And I think some people naturally just know what they want, and other people are a little more lost. They don't necessarily, it doesn't just come to them.
Well, I think one of the ways is to is to go inside. I mean, the answers are inside of us. We're not going to get it from other people or situations in life. I mean, you need to go inside, and that's where the answers are. I mean, people are always looking for happiness and joy outside of themselves.
So what do you mean by go inside? I feel like as if I was someone who didn't understand this language, I'd be like, what the fuck is inside? Inside my heart? What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, take the time to be still, and you know, I mean, I'm a meditator. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're a meditator. I teach meditation, so I would tell people to meditate, but some people feel they can't do that. I think it's just taking the time to be still, to be with yourself, to close your eyes and to breathe and to just listen.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
listen to those to the voices, listen to the guidance that comes. But you can't, that's just not gonna, like, you're not just gonna all of a sudden one day it said, okay, I'm just gonna close my eyes. And no, it takes time, it takes practice.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's then figuring out, okay, which voice do I listen to? Because there's so many voices in our head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's the one that feels right.
Yeah.
You know, and then after that, I think what also came to me was, once you put it out there, once you figure out what you want, and that can change. I mean, it changes for me throughout my whole life. But once you put it out there, just be open to what comes to you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the universe brings you, like, so many times when I think of, like, something that I want or direction I want to go, it's like, wow, then things appear to me.
Yep.
that like I meet somebody or I read something or I see something like, and it's like, oh, but then again,
Honestly,
yeah,
it's like the algorithm on Instagram. It's like a metaphor.
okay.
You know how we say like our phones are listening to us. You talk about like this bag from Chanel, and all of a sudden there's a ad for Chanel on your. It's kind of what you're saying. Like that is kind of the way I think the way the universe does work. And you have to look like if you start thinking about the things that you want, then you start noticing, oh, this person, like even getting to New York, like my immigration lawyer was my regular at my bar.
Mm-hmm.
But way before she was my immigration lawyer, she was just my regular at the bar.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was like the universe was like, oh, that's easy. Let's do that. That works.
Well, and it's like the situation of how I got this place that I live in.
Fully.
I mean, it wasn't coincidence. I mean, it was things aligned, you know, were so aligned for me to find this place.
Mm-hmm.
And most people when they buy a place, they get a real estate agent or they look up certain places. I mean, that's not what happened here. And I don't want to
No,
go into the whole story because it's
no,
long,
but
but it's how I got this. It's like, wow, I ran into this person who knew about this, and then it just happened so easily because it was
yeah.
meant to happen,
Yeah.
and
I think part of it too is that I've learned how to trust the feelings. You talked about feelings, like it's a feeling inside you, like when you're listening to what's in your mind and your heart and your body, you do have to feel it out, like what feels like the right one to listen to. That's
mhm,
a personal thing. And so it's the same thing when you're in a situation and you feel like you want to go this way. Listen to that.
yes, I mean, it's one of the things that I teach with the voices in our heads,
Mm-hmm.
because there's always something going on in our head, and it's you know you have the ego voice that tells you not to do something,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not good enough or you're going to get hurt, or it's something very fearful.
Yeah.
um, and then there's your spirit voice or your intuition, you know that tells you to go a certain way. And then how do you know which one is the right one? It's the one that
Mm-hmm.
feels right. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you do because you're going to learn from that.
Yep.
However, the idea is to do the thing that's going to bring you joy,
That's it.
you know and
That literally, like literally Abraham's message today. The standard of success in life isn't the things, it isn't the money or the stuff. It is absolutely the amount of joy you feel.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's figuring out how to get there,
Mm-hmm.
you know so okay.
Reach for the joy.
And surrender.
Yeah, there will definitely be surrender in the process. Because I feel like the surrender comes right at the beginning. You have to surrender to the present moment and then reach for whatever it is you want to reach for.
And don't be afraid to change,
Yeah.
because it'll lead you to the place where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it may not be the place where you end up or where you're going to stay, but that's the beauty of life.
Yeah.
It's
And
the
I think
experience.
you said this before, the mind will always be afraid of change. It will always, there will always be some fear involved in something shifting. But the irony is that it's always changing. Nothing ever stays the same. It's impossible. time exists. So
yeah.
So despite your mind creating all these fears and ideas of why you shouldn't do something,
Yeah.
part of the journey is overcoming that and doing it anyways. And you have to trust that. Again, it comes back to like when you're even like thinking about taking a step forward, like you really have to have already started this conversation or this knowing in yourself, like what feels like the right direction. I feel like people are constantly looking for the answer from external, like they're trying to get someone else to tell them what to do. And for sure, there's nothing, I think it's beautiful when you can talk to a friend or have a life coach or a therapist or somebody to like externalize how you're feeling. But at the end of the day, they cannot take this step for you.
The good news is that it doesn't really matter in the long run which path we follow. Each option has its own unique opportunities and lessons by which we grow stronger, wiser, and more experienced and potentially more successful.
Yep. Nothing is right or wrong, but you will learn something from every choice you make, or you can learn something from every choice you make. And if you continue to not listen, then you'll just keep repeating until it, becomes this Mack truck running over you experience. And then you really wake up and realize I haven't been listening to.
I want to read you this. Do you know Rumi?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rumi, for those of you who don't know, is a 13th century poet. He has some amazing words of wisdom. And this is one. As you start to walk out on the way appears. That's it.
That's it.
Hopefully we've given you some things to use, to think about, to practice in your everyday life.
That's the mission. That's what we want. These queer talks to be things you can take with you and even refer back to, that will have lasting effect in your everyday life. That's what we're pulling from our everyday life. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Justin.
My name is Eddie. Thank you for watching. Oh,
keep it queer. Don't forget.
Almost forgot.
Ah.
Keep it queer.
Yeah.